Hi, Year 2. Welcome back to our story time. We're reading The Minpins by Roald Dahl. So let's carry on. Now something even more peculiar began to happen. All around him, not only on the huge main trunk of the tree, but also on the big branches that grew out of it, other tiny windows were opening and tiny faces were peering out. Some of these faces belonged to men and others were clearly women. Here and there the head of a child was seen peering over a window sill. The heads of these children were no larger than the heads of matchsticks. In the end there must have been more than 20 small windows all around where little Billy was sitting, and from each window these amazing little faces were peering out. No sound came from any of the watchers. The faces were silent, unmoving, almost ghost-like. Now the tiny old man in the window nearest to Billy seemed to be saying something, but his voice was so soft and so whispery. Little Billy had to lean right up close to catch his words. "You're in a bit of a twizzler, aren't you?" the voice was saying. "You can't go down again, because if you do you'll be guzzled up at once. But you can't possibly sit up here forever either." I know, little Billy gasped. "Don't shout," the tiny man said. "I'm not shouting," little Billy said. "Talk softer," the tiny man said. "If you talk too loud, your voice will blow me away." But who are you?" little Billy asked, taking care to speak very softly this time. "We are the Minpins," the tiny man said, "and we own this wood. I shall come closer, then you will hear me better." The old Minpin climbed out of his window and walked straight down the big, steeply sloping branch, then up another branch until he found a place only a few inches from little Billy's face. It was amazing to see him walking up and down these almost vertical branches without the slightest trouble. It was like seeing someone walking up and down a wall. "How on earth do you do that?" little Billy asked. "Suction boots," the Minpin said. "We all wear them. You can't live in trees without suction boots." On his feet he was wearing tiny green boots, rather like miniature wellies. His clothes were curiously old-fashioned, mostly brown and black, the sort of thing people wore 200 or 300 years ago. Suddenly, all the other Minpins, men and women and children, were climbing out of their windows and making their way towards little Billy. Their suction boots seemed to allow them to walk up and down the steepest branches with the greatest ease, and some were even walking upside down underneath the branches. All of them were wearing these old-fashioned clothes from hundreds of years ago, and several had on very peculiar hats and bonnets. They stood or sat in groups on all the branches around little Billy, staring at him as though he was someone from out of space. If you look around the picture, you can see the Minpins on the branches. "But do all of you actually live inside this tree?" little Billy asked. The old Minpin said, "All the trees in this forest are hollow, not just this one, but all of them. And inside them thousands and thousands of Minpins are living. These great trees are filled with rooms and staircases, not just in the big main trunk, but in most of the other branches as well. This is a Minpin forest, and it's not the only one in England." "Could I peep inside?" little Billy asked. Of course," the old Minpin said. "Put your eye close to that window." He pointed to the one just coming out of. Little Billy shifted his position and placed one eye right up against a square hole that was no bigger than a postage stamp. What he saw was quite marvellous. He saw a room that was lit by a pale yellow light of some sort, and it was furnished with beautifully made miniature chairs and a table. To one side was a four-poster bed. It was like one of the rooms little Billy had once seen in the Queen's doll's house at Windsor Castle. It's beautiful, Little Billy said. Are they all as lovely as this one? Most are smaller, the old Minpin said. This one is very grand because I am the ruler of this tree. My name is Don Minnie. What is yours? Mine is Little Billy, Little Billy said. Greetings, Little Billy, Don Minnie said. You are welcome to look into some of the other rooms if you wish. We are very proud of them. All the other Minpin families wanted to show Little Billy their own rooms. They pushed him out all along the branches, calling out, Come and see mine! Please come and see mine! Little Billy began climbing about and peeping into the tiny windows. Through one window he saw a bathroom, just like his at home, only 1,000 times smaller. And through another he saw a classroom with lots of tiny desks and a blackboard at one end. In every room there was a stairway in one corner leading up to the room above. As Little Billy went from window to window, the Minpins followed him, clustering round and smiling at his exclamations of wonder. They're all absolutely marvellous, he said. They're much nicer than our rooms at home. When the sightseeing tour was over, Little Billy sat down again on a large branch and said to the whole company of Minpins, Look, I've had a lovely time with you all, but how am I ever going to get home again? My mother will be going crazy. You can never get down from this tree, Don Minnie said. I've told you that. If you're stupid enough to try, you'll be eaten up in 5 seconds. Is it the Spittler? Little Billy asked. Is it the terrible blood-suckling, tooth-pluckling, stone-chuckling Spittler? I've never heard of any Spittler, Don Minnie said. The one waiting for you down there is the fearsome Gruncher, the red-hot smoke-belching Gruncher. He grunches up everything in the forest. That's why we have to live up here. He has grunched up thousands of humans and literally millions of Minpins. What makes him so dangerous is his amazing and magical nose. His nose can smell out a human or a Minpin or any other animal from 10 miles away. Then he gallops towards it at terrific speed. He can never see anything in front of him because of all the smoke he belches out from his nose and mouth. But that doesn't bother him. His nose tells him exactly where to go. Why does he blow out all that smoke? Little Billy said. Because he's got a red-hot fire in his belly, Don Minnie said. The Gruncher likes his meat roasted and the fire roasts it as it goes down. Look, Little Billy said, Gruncher or no Gruncher, I've simply got to get home somehow. I'll have to make a dash for it. Don't try it, I beg you, Don Minnie said. The Gruncher knows you're up here. He's down there now waiting for you. Climb down a bit lower with me and I'll show you. Don Minnie walked easily straight down the side of the great tree trunk. Little Billy climbed carefully down after him from one branch to the next. Soon, below them, they began to smell the revolting hot stench of the Gruncher's breath, and the orange-red smoke was now billowing up into the lower branches in thick clouds. What does he look like? Little Billy whispered. Nobody knows, Don Minnie answered. He makes so much steam and smoke you can never see him. If you're behind him, you can sometimes catch a glimpse of little bits of him because all of the smoke is being blown out in the front. Some Minpins say they have seen his back legs, huge and black and very hairy, shaped like a lion's legs, but 10 times as big. And it's rumoured that his head is like an enormous crocodile's head, with rows and rows of sharp, pointed teeth. But nobody really knows. Mind you, he must have gigantic nose holes to be able to blow out all that smoke. They stayed still, listening, and they could hear the Gruncher pawing the ground at the base of the tree with his giant hooves and snorting with greed. He smells you, Don Minnie said. He knows you aren't far away. He'll wait forever to get you now. He adores humans, and he doesn't catch them very often. Humans are like strawberries and cream to him. You see, for months he's been living on a diet of Minpins, and 1,000 Minpins is not even a snack for him. The brute is ravenous. Little Billy and Don Minnie climbed back up the tree to where all the other Minpins were gathered. They seemed glad to see Little Billy come safely back. "Stay up here with us," they said to him. "We'll look after you." Just then a lovely blue swallow alighted on a branch not far away, and Little Billy saw a mother Minpin and her 2 children climb quite casually onto the swallow's back. Then the swallow took off and flew away with its passengers seated comfortably between its wings. "Good heavens!" cried Little Billy. "Is that a special tame bird?" "Not at all," Don Minnie said. "We know all the birds. The birds are our friends. We use them all the time for going places. That lady is taking her children to see their grandmother, who lives in another forest about 50 miles away. They'll be there in less than an hour." "Can you talk to them?" Little Billy asked. "To the birds, I mean." "Of course we can talk to them," Don Minnie said. "We can summon them any time we want if we have to go somewhere. How else would we get our supplies of food up here? The red-hot cruncher makes it impossible for us to walk anywhere in the wood." "Do the birds like doing this for you?" Little Billy asked. "They'll do anything for us," Don Minnie said. "They love us and we love them. We store food for them inside the trees so they don't starve when the icy, cold winter comes along." Suddenly, all sorts of birds were alighting on the branches of the tree around where Little Billy was sitting, and the Minpins were climbing onto their backs in droves. Most of the Minpins had small sacks slung over their shoulders. "At this time of day they go off to collect food," Don Minnie said. "All the grown-ups have to help in getting food for the community. The population of each tree looks after itself. Our large trees are like your cities and towns, and the small ones are like your villages." It was an astonishing sight. Every kind of wonderful bird was flying in and perching on the branches of the great tree, and as soon as one landed, a Minpin would climb onto its back and off they would go. There were blackbirds and thrushes and skylarks and ravens and starlings and jays and magpies and many kinds of small finches. It was all very fast and well organised. Each bird seemed to know exactly which Minpin it was collecting, and each Minpin knew exactly which bird he or she had ordered for the morning. "The birds are our cars," Don Minnie said to Little Billy. "They're much nicer and they never crash." Soon all the grown-up Minpins, excepting Don Minnie, had flown away on the birds, and only the tiny children were left. Then the robins came, and the children began climbing onto their backs and going for short flights. Don Minnie said to Little Billy, "The children all practice learning to fly on robins. Robins are sensible and careful birds, and they love the little ones." Little Billy simply stood there staring. He could hardly believe what he was seeing. And we're going to leave it there for today. So check back tomorrow and we'll read some more of the Minpins, okay? Bye.